he's pretty jacked.
Well, thank you, Grayson. Thank you.
Yeah,
I tried really hard.
Yeah, you work hard. Being a wrestler is not just knowing how to work. You gotta look like a wrestler too. So
I really hate that I can't get Alton in here. He's listening to us still, but we still can't hear him.
I wonder why not. I
don't know, man. And just so you know, Alton, I'm always down to have y'all back on. So this isn't going to be a one-time thing, so.
Yeah.
Don't feel left out. If anything, maybe we'll make our way down to Lubbock someday and we can hop in the ring and you can whoop our butts. My buddy, Steven Martinez, actually said he trained with you, Erik, in the dojo. He plays guitar in a band called The Gods That Failed. He's a really cool dude.
I remember Steven Martinez. He trained for a little while. He did pretty well. I don't remember why. I think he stopped because the music got started again. He got back into playing in a band. We had another guy, Antonio, that he plays for. I know one
T
of
with
them
Titans.
Yes, T with Titans.
T with Titans.
Yeah. He trained with us for about a year and actually did a couple of matches. He reffed a lot and then had like 3 or 4 matches with us. And then about the time that he wrestled under a mask, not a mask, but like a full body suit. Like it covered his entire suit. Covered his entire body. And whenever he revealed it, after like a month after he revealed it, he ended up going back and being in a band again. So he hasn't. He's been back and reffed for us, and then T with Titans was a musical guest at one of our events last October. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. That was cool. We're actually looking to I want to do more bands at the live wrestling events. We really enjoyed having the band, and I think our crowd did too. It was pretty cool.
I think that would be amazing. T with Titans is a really good band. I've had them on the show before, actually, and just to see a band that cool or that amazing and get to see wrestling, that's like, I couldn't ask for much more than that, you know what I mean? I mean, as long as there's booze there.
Yeah, and they were good, man. We let them play, they played our Rampage theme song gimmick. They played a couple of guys to the ring with like WrestleMania style. That was pretty badass. And then they did during intermission, they played a couple of their songs that they do. It was cool, man. It was really cool. I want to do it again. And I don't want to just do like that. Like we actually had a guy play our national anthem named Matt Morgan. He does like folk style music, Americana style music, a couple years ago. And that was pretty cool. So always trying to get like other things involved in the live events. The more you can offer people entertainment wise, the better off you are. So we try to have a lot for our fans to do at our shows, not just watch wrestling. So, and
I know since this whole thing is happening, y'all have been affected. But have y'all ever? I know it's supposed to be like no more than 10 people in a group or a place together or whatever. But have y'all thought about trying to get like 10 of y'all together and doing something on Skype or just like live streaming? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. We're actually. I'm working on something like that right now. We've got I have a facility here in Lubbock that we train at a couple days a week and on the weekends. And so I'm trying to get some guys to come out there so we can shoot. I'm going to call it I think I'm going to call it our lockdown series and do where there'll be a small group of people out there, but and then do like Facebook premieres and do it like once a week or maybe like 1 or 2 a week. Until all this crap blows over and we can leave our houses and congregate more than 10 people. So, but we're working towards it. I'm not a real big fan of the whole empty arena match. So I think there should be people there, because wrestling's interactive. It's supposed to be anyway. So but yeah, we definitely want to, because we had an event scheduled for April 11th that we had to move back until June. And so we can't get in front of people until June unless we do it this way. So definitely going to do it this way.
Did y'all see the match between Joey Janela and Jimmy Lloyd, the social distancing match? I think I sent the link.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we saw that. I hope the bad, I don't remember the layout of the match, but I hope the bad guy punched him in the face after the video ended.
I only saw a clip from it, and I saw the across the ring Canadian Destroyer, and I was done. I didn't want to watch anymore. I was like, no, I'm good.
It looks like Alton is trying to let him talk, so I don't know. He might pop in here in a second, hopefully. But I saw a picture on Facebook of, I don't know if it was WrestleMania. I know it was WWE something, but they were in the ring, and there's no fans. And it kind of creeped me out, honestly.
Yeah.
WWE's been doing that the last few weeks with zero fans, and then AEW had their first show without, like, since this whole since the limitations have been in place. But AEW actually had the wrestlers who weren't booked, that weren't like wrestling in matches. They had them around the ring, which I actually found that to be really entertaining. Watching, and they had all the bad guys on one side of the ring and all the good guys on the other side of the ring, and they weren't really interacting except for like talking crap, like fans would talk crap to each other, and some of the guys were making bets on the matches, and I don't know, I found it to be really entertaining, having a few people to react to the match as opposed to completely empty.
Pros like when they introduced somebody, like Hangman Page was Hangman, or Adam Hansen. Yeah, something like that. And then Brandy Rhodes, like under her name, it said she would never ring announce while she was announcing. She had gone on Twitter and she was like, yeah, WWE did me wrong. Like, I'm never ring announcing again and all this stuff. And there she was.
Yeah. She was like, I think she posted on Twitter, like, you got to do what you got to do or something. But yeah, she actually wasn't bad. Like, she's a pretty good ring announcer. I had to give it to her. I didn't for 1 second think like, oh, they need to get somebody else in there. They're just trying to get Brandy on TV. I was like, oh, she's got a good voice. Like, she can do this. Like,
okay. She used to do it on SmackDown, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got
that was her job.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I honestly, to be completely honest, didn't know who she was until she married Cody. I don't remember her from WWE at all. And so I don't even really remember Cody's exit. I mean, I remember Stardust being terrible, and that was about it.
Yeah, they took her off TV a long time before she left. So that, I mean, she was the SmackDown announcer, like before Renee Young and like that white dude, Adam Lay, and like she was like a long time ago. Like she,
okay.
She used to do it on NXT for the longest time, and then she got promoted because I think Lillian Garcia left or something. And then
okay.
Roberts left. Or no, not just Todd Phillips left, and then who was the other guy? The one that went to like TNA,
Adamley, right? Mike Adamley.
Yeah, but he
now.
See, and I remember her interviewing people backstage, but I don't remember her being a ring announcer. But that makes sense because she did well. I mean, she has a good voice for it. So
yeah, and I agree with you, man. I went back and watched more of the stuff, and if WWE didn't have the chairs and the lights on the chairs, it wouldn't look so bad.
Yeah,
but the lights on the chairs, it's like they're highlighting that nobody's there, and it's like, you should try to match that or something.
Like when Undertaker went out and laid out the club, and then he's like looking around, like he looked lost because that's usually where he's like looking out for the crowd reaction, and he's gonna like pose for them, and he's like, and he looks at the camera awkwardly, and it's like, what do I do?
Yeah, a lot of those guys kept looking to the crowd, like looking at the empty seats.
Yeah,
like John Cena did it, and then like laughed at himself. Like he was cutting the promo, and he like looked at the empty seats to like get a reaction, and it was like. And then looked back at the camera and was like, ah.
I think the one that made me laugh was when Daniel Bryan was walking out and he was going to get ready to start the yes thing. And then he's like, well, there's nobody here. And then Drew Gulak was like, no, do it. And so he still did it. He still did it down the aisle, even with no fans. It was pretty funny.
Like, I think AEW did a little better because, like, no disrespect to them, but like they were indie wrestlers. A lot of them were before. So they're used to working like in front of a small crowds and putting on like the best shows ever. And a lot of WWE guys were like built in the system, so they never got that experience, and there was literally no one in the crowd at all.
You know that you're exactly right, dude. You've got a really good point there. That's a solid point.
And I think that would be weird. That'd be like going up and doing stand-up in front of, like, nobody. You know what I mean? If there's no one to laugh at your jokes, then, like, it's kind of... I think it would be a little more difficult to perform.
Yeah.
It's difficult to perform, but I'll tell you as a coach, it's the best way to practice. Because... especially, like I would think, especially as a comedian, because stand-up comedy is a lot like wrestling, as in where, like, if you can't get your crowd laughing in comedy, if you can't get your crowd clapping or cheering or booing in wrestling, you're kind of screwed. You know, like you're going to fall flat. And so I think it's important to be able to continue your set essentially, or continue your match in silence. So I think it's a good practice because then you can practice your delivery and different. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard. It's not fun, especially if there's people there and not reacting. That's like the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Because you feed off the reaction. Like if the reaction isn't any good, or like you do something and like there's nothing, it's like, okay, I got to step it up. Or all right, that didn't work. I bet you this will get you.
Right.
Yeah, you feed off of their energy. Like you want to. The whole idea of wrestling is an emotional connection. The same as music, like live music. The best live music, like affects you emotionally. You know, like touches you in some way, whether it makes you angry or sad or happy or, you know, whatever. That's the best kind of music for anybody. You know, so whether it's that, you know, for them country music or rock and roll or classical music. Same thing with wrestling, whether it's the spot matches that get you going or the storytelling or those outright brawls or the cage match gimmick matches. Whatever it is that pulls you in, it's an emotional connection that you're feeling to that match that pulls you in. It's not the moves they're doing, it's the emotion they're portraying. And so without having that reaction from your crowd, it's like it's hard to know what to do next. It's hard to know what to do next. I don't know how to right. And that'll get a way to put it, Axel.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like he was talking. I mean, I've worked in front of like I've worked for some really small promotions where, you know, they're anywhere between, you know, 10 and, you know, 100 people as far as the smaller ones that I've worked at. And I mean, yeah, if you don't get that reaction, I mean, yeah, in some ways it pushes you to like want to do more to get the reaction, but in other ways it's kind of like. Sometimes it's a wake-up call. It's like you did this because you thought it was cool, but obviously these people don't care. And so you're kind of like, okay, so then you realize that it's more about the, you know, the emotion and not the moves, kind of exactly like what Grayson was just saying. And but then at the same time, it is also so much easier to work a huge crowd than it is to work a small crowd, because when you have just so much to, you know, to feed off of, you realize that all you have to do is, you know, effectively like tell a story, draw the emotion. And it doesn't matter like whether you're jumping off the top rope or you're, you know, giving somebody a clothesline, you know, you'll get that emotional reaction. And once you have them, you know, there in the palm of your hand, I mean, you get to tell the story that you want to tell, and they're going to eat it up. And it's awesome. I got to work in front of one of the biggest crowds I've ever worked in front of this past year. And Grayson pulled me to the side after my match and was like, I'm so glad that you got to be here this year and got to feel what this is like. And he was so right. It was an amazing experience.
Well, as soon as all this is over, I definitely want to come and check out a show. I want to see the dojo for sure, because I bet y'all go through a killer workout.
Did you guys hear me yet?
Yes!
There he is!
Finally got this stupid thing working.
Oh, I'm in danger.
It was that guy.
Both of you boys are going to get kicked in the face next time I see you.
The whole time. They were over here like, no, we're doing this on purpose so he can't get on and defend himself.
Yeah, we were over here cackling like schoolgirls.
Well, we got Alton now, and now that we have all three of y'all here, I want to know, how did you choose? Hang on, sorry, I got tongue-tied. How did you choose your character or persona or whatever you refer to it as?
You go first, Alton. You just got in here.
Yeah.
So basically, I get to be me without the rules. Society says I have to be one way. I got to go to my work, my actual shoot job, and I have to be somebody that maybe I don't want to be. Wrestling lets me